Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northeast, South, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, every corner receiving our 100,000 watt transmitting signal. Anyway, folks, happy Memorial's Day. I think I should say happy or have a fruitful Memorial Day, but we are going to have a great live program here. Welcome, of course, to the rest of the world receiving us through the magical signals of El Internet, the internet. Anyway, folks, what's your plans for today? Picnicking in this great hot weather? Well, I know I'm going over at somebody's home to get me some food. Maybe I'll do a little bit of cooking and take over as well. Anyway, folks, before we get started, you know how this thing goes. We have to take it to the genius, the geniuses in the
Right
studio.
there's those heinous geniuses coming back here with the tin cans. Well, good morning, Egberto. It is Memorial Day, the unofficial start of summer, and summer is wasting no time getting started. I'll tell you that. It's going to be hot today. And if you go over to your friend's house and you take something, that reminds me that that's what we do here. The folks who are donating to our programs are giving us something to operate on. Because you don't want to just show up with a spork. And I will refer to Sandy for the spork story. Sandy's online here. Good morning, Sandy.
I get called so many things, especially on Memorial Day.
Tell us about the
Hey.
spork story.
Well, I was told not to,
Oh.
Rourke, the guy with the spork, doesn't want to be known as the guy with the spork. He told me that I made that all up. And that,
So let's make it up again, Sandy.
okay, let's make it up again. The story goes like this. KPFT, we hold these fund drives. It's analogous to what Egberto's talking about on Memorial Day. You're going over to your friend's house, your neighbor's house. Maybe it's your new best friend with a pool, and everybody's bringing something that's going over. They're bringing beverages, they're bringing salads and rolls and desserts. They're bringing yummy baked chocolate chip cookies. They're bringing briskets and corn on the cob. They're bringing all kinds of goodies. And even someone's bringing paper plates and napkins so you don't have to eat by just pulling it with your hands. Talking about the brisket. And while all that's going on, you're going too. And you're bringing a spork, that marvelous utensil, that all-in-one piece that allows you to slurp soup like a spoon, stab meat like a fork. It's all right there in your hand. It's one piece. That's what you've brought, ready to enjoy what everybody else is bringing to our Memorial Day picnic at your friend with a pool. You and your spork show up and you get fed really well. And you go home and you go, thank you very much. Well, if you can, if you're in a position to, but you have not yet given in the May fund drive to KPFT. In fact, you haven't given in the last year. What that means is you're giving us a spork. You're showing up and you're getting the great programming from Egberto and everybody else on KPFT, but you're not supporting it, not financially, when you're in a position to do that. Come on, bring something to the party. Put down $5 a month. Do it every month, become a sustainer. $5. I mean, if you try to buy a spork these days, it's at least $5. So in a way, it's giving us a spork every month. And when you do that, 58 more dollars are just going to come and match what you've donated. That $60 annual pledge gets matched with 58 more. Now look, we're about, $39,000 short, $38,000 short of where we need to be by Thursday evening. And while we can't make the whole thing up right now, we can get started. And you could be the first to donate on Memorial Day. Who are you remembering today? Maybe somebody at KPFT, somebody that was there that brought love into your life, a smile to your face. You know, they're all volunteers. There's a parade. Egberto and I are here now. I don't know who's going to be here tomorrow, but I do know that if KPFT is here tomorrow, we can keep on enjoying. And to get to tomorrow, no sporks, $5, 713-526-5738, option one, or kpft.org. Good morning, Egberto. It's Lola
Good
Savannah
morning.
Hand. Yeah, it's all good.
Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Howard and Jack. We're going to have a great show. But before we get started, I always like to have me a little bit of Jack in the morning. Brother Jack,
Well,
talk to me.
before you do that, Sandy thought that he was going to get through a pledge drive without the spork story. He said, no, no spork story, no worm song. But we got the spork story anyway, didn't we? Now to
Yes,
Jack.
we did. Well, before Jack, I should have mentioned about the pork story. I mean, that's the perfect analogy. We all we should all have skin in the game, because, but when you hear my media story later on, you see something else to talk about. But brother Jack,
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
buenos dias.
All right, it's Memorial Day, a day we honor our fallen soldiers. It's up to the citizens to make sure the soldiers' life wasn't given in vain by voting in the peacemakers and voting out the corporate warmongers. War is always waged on the innocent. Any more war is about resources. Don't send an innocent young soldier to die in a rich man's war.
Amen. Now,
Amen.
on with the show.
Thank you, my dear brother. Look, let's get busy. The title of the show today is Libertarians Reject Trump and Kennedy. Dana Vash gives Tim Scott a pass. And Maria Hinojosa, a journalist. The, the, the Libertarians booed Trump and rejected Donald Trump as well as Kennedy. Little typo in my newsletter. It was kind of late, but forgive me. Anyway, Dana Vash sadly allowed Tim Scott to use our airways to lie, and Maria Hinojosa spills the truth on the immigration issue. Folks, we got a lot to talk about, but before I get started, as usual, I want to just reiterate everything Sandy, Howard, Jack has to say about please support the station. I'm going to give you a good piece here, but one of the reasons, especially now, we're essential, not just for the great music that gets played in the afternoons and at night, etc., but because of the stories that we have to tell that the mainstream media can't. I don't want to say won't, because all these stations from Fox News to ABC to MSNBC to CNN, they all have very good, competent reporters that know stuff. Jack always seems to be seem to talk about the corporation, the corporation, the corporations. And I know a lot of people sort of think it's sort of just a cliche thing or whatever. But the truth of the matter is, compared to by the way, every corporation is a human being, okay? Just like you have a social security number, a corporation has something called an EIN. It makes them a legal entity. And just like you try to work for your own interest, you get up and you advocate for yourself, whether you're at the hospital, wherever it is, you try to advocate for yourself. A corporation as an entity advocates for itself as well. They create things called lobbies. They create things called foundations. They create a lot of things that leverage the power they have to advocate. But there's only you who advocates for you. Now, one of the things that we do is we try to do things like have labor unions. Labor unions kind of do what corporations have always done, advocate for that entity. You know, you have the Metallurgical Association, you have the association of this and the association of that, the carbon emitters. You have all these things where corporations get together to strengthen themselves, create lobbies for Congress to lobby Congress to do things. Then there's you, mostly an individual. And when the individuals try to form companies, good morning, Texas Blue Bonnet on the chat. When the corporations try to, or rather, when the individuals try to get together, they create unions. And what happens then? The corporations try to silence them, try to create laws that makes the creation of unions, us the people, we the people, working together as one to lobby for ourselves. They try to give you the impression that that is a bad thing. Oh, unions don't work out. We'll take good care of you. Starbucks, that used to be a very good company, and I mean, they took care of their employees and healthcare, education, all that kind of stuff. But again, it was at the behest of what the leaders of that corporation wanted. And if their bottom line for the high price coffees got a little bit iffy, of course, you know who pays first, the employees. So then the employees decided that they wanted to unionize. And this company that was making so much money that they were able to be great to their employees, they didn't do it out of benevolence. No, but they didn't want the union. They don't want them working together. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere with this. Collectively, there are very few organizations out there with power. I mean, you have citizens, and you have uh, people like Coffee Party and all these organizations, small organizations, we put together to work on the goal of for the people. But in effect, they are kept isolated. How many private, or I shouldn't say private, but how many powerful organizations, you know, do you know? Effective organizations that are of the people. I mean, people say, well, there's Move On and there are these other organizations. Yeah, but none of them have the power that these, let's say, the Metallurgical Association and these other associations with lobbyists and the money backing of corporations have to advocate for you. Very few organizations out there to advocate for what's in your best interest. That's why when a study was done, and the studies asked, and by I won't have the numbers exact because I didn't prepare the study for this program, but let me just kind of give you what the study said. The study said that when most of Americans want something, maybe they'll get it 10% of the times, if that many times. But when corporations want a particular thing, they want a particular law, they want a particular support for what corporations want, they get it more than 50% of the time. And it's way more than 50% of the times. What I'm saying is power. The people have lost their power to the corporations. In other words, it's not what people want and vote for. You voted for Obama to get super great health care. And the corporation saw that, well, it looks like the people are really pushing for good health care now that's going to cost some money. Well, you know what we're going to do, the corporation said? We're going to give them the facade of good health care, but we're still going to run this stuff, which means it ain't going to be cheap. Everybody going to get it now, and we're going to support those people who just don't have it. But if you stay to Texas, of course, you'll still get your people killed by not giving them the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. But even as we get the framework for good health care, we're going to make a buck on it. So we're going to make sure to tailor that bill. So when Obamacare came to fruition, the stock market went crazy high for the healthcare companies. Why? Because we knew one thing, even as we had the semblance that the average American citizen was going to be doing well, the private sector, the corporations, they cleaned up. They cleaned up, and it was yet another transfer of wealth from your tax dollars to the corporation's bottom line. And that's why now they have so much money, the medical sector, that in every community right now, you can see those private emergency standalone rooms up, those urgent cares coming up, those mini hospitals coming up. Go over, they're beautiful and they're in strip marks and everywhere. And you go into that place and hey, it's Obamacare. And guess what? It's just another money making machine for the corporations. Who's advocating for you? That's where KPFT comes in. That's where all these stations that have the ability to tell the story comes in. And the fact that we are willing, the fact that we are willing to constantly fund corporations for the pleasure of many times harming us, and the fact that Sandy and Howard and Jack and myself and Rourke and everybody else is on this air at KPFT, all it actually begging for support that ultimately educates us all, benefits us all, prevents us from being mentally decapitated from the corporate message that fools us. It shouldn't be that way. We should have people kicking and screaming at us right now and saying, we got to support a place that doesn't have corporate restrictions. I started this by saying NBC, ABC, CBS, all these guys have great reporters that are corporately neutered, that simply cannot say the things that they want to say for the people they serve as the fourth estate. In 2 days, I'm going to have Ali Velshi on from MSNBC. One of the there are three reporters I've always claimed is a must listen to, and that is Ali Velshi, Mehdi Hassan, and I forgot the other one right off the top of my head. And that is because of they are the few reporters, the few journalists, the few hosts who they can't do it all the way, but they have found a manner in which to use the corporate airwaves, our airwaves that they've taken over, to slowly and methodically give us enough of the message that we can sit down and think, maybe we need to do things a different way. So for all of you that are listening right now, no, it's early in the morning. For all of you that are listening right now, I ask once again, kindly, purposefully, to give us a call at 713-526-5738 and hit extension number 1 and give whatever you can. The great thing about a KPFT is most of us, well, there's only one paid employee. All of the hosts here, whether it be Politics Done Right, You Talk, the Journal, any one of these programs, are people not just doing it out of love, but out of a purpose to serve. And it is purpose to serve that make somebody get up every day. In the case of you talk, burn that gas to get into to the station and support it. Get up in the mornings every day, in the afternoons every day to support all of us on the station. Myself as well, I am a $10 a month giver, even as we come in and do the show every single day. Look, when we ask ourselves, how can these things be happening? Why are people, many times, and this is not from me, but a lot of people, why are people so stupid to support certain other politicians or whatever? The answer is actually simple. They're not. They honestly are not. Uh, when we talk about, uh, we are not stupid. They're not stupid people. It's the information that people are getting and how they believe in at the extent to which that information can travel or you can get it. KPFT, a small station, a small sphere of influence that can grow and make things better for us all, but it can only grow how again? I can't grow it more than $10 a month. I can't. Maybe I could do a little extra few pennies or whatever. But imagine if we had 1,000 people call in and did $10 a month right off the bat. Right off the bat, that's 10,000 of the $52,000 a month we need to support the station. But the metro area has 4 point something million people, if not more. Imagine if 10,000 people gave $10,000 a month. We could actually get the station going and maybe hire a couple of people to make it even better. A station not dependent on the corporate, I was going to use a word, but I don't know if I can say that on air, but a corporate, where you drinking the milk, that's not dependent on that corporation for the milk. So, folks, it is all our duties. It's not enough for us to wonder why things are the way they are. It's not enough for us to just say why things are the way they are. We all need to have skin in the game for us all. We all have to have skin in the game for us all. So if you're listening right now and you have never ever given to this station before, but you listen to this station often and it's not only that necessarily that you listen to this station, but you hope the messaging that you hear is something that many others can get to, then folks, this is an investment that's worth it. This is an investment that's worth it. Because again, it is to serve and it is to make sure that we are more than just informed, but that we understand that being directed collectively can make a difference. So give me a call now. When we pitch for another couple minutes before I jump to Sandy, and then I have a video for you. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. If you haven't ever given before, but you listen to us, whatever you can, whether it's a one-time contribution, whatever amount that may be, or a sustainer, which is what we need desperately right now, $5 a month, a coffee that you will never ever miss. $10 a month, a couple of coffees you will never miss. $15 a month, something that you will not miss, but we will use so effectively to make a difference. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Think about how much you give away to the corporate state. You have your cable, $100 a month, $200 a month, $300 a month. You dedicate that to your cable bill. For an institution you have no control over, who tells you what they're going to provide to you, and you have no feedback to them. Of course, here at KPFT, you don't only have a feedback, this is your platform. You have ownership in this station. Once you give, you have ownership. And everybody, every Houstonian, every person in the world gets a platform. They can call, and everybody who hears this stuff on the air, on the internet, on the social medias, everywhere, get a chance to hear you. Isn't that worth supporting? And this isn't an empty support that you just give and get nothing back. This is actually making a difference. So please give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1, to contribute. And, leave me a message as well. Or you can go to kpft.org, kpft.org, and hit the donate button. In the scroll down box, select Politics Done Right as the program you're supporting, and give whatever you can. Again, I'm a $10 a month giver, as well as doing the program. I know you can be a part of this as well. Sandy?
Thank you, Egberto. Well, folks, I think Egberto summed it up very nicely. Be part of it. Take action. 713-526-5738. Be a $5 a month sustainer, but be the first person to pledge on this May 27th, Memorial Day in 2024. Can't believe it's the start of summer already. Where did the first 5 full months go? Almost 5 full months, I should say. Time slips away. KPFT is still here for you. We're trying to gather up all the funds that are needed to pay those bills in the hot summer months. I guarantee you right now, the 2-3 air conditioners in our building are blazing away trying to keep people and equipment cool. Costs a lot of money. ASCAP, BMI, costs a lot of money. Altogether, it costs a lot of money, $52,000 a month. The LSB, Local Station Board, just approved our 2025 budget. It didn't really change too much from 2024. That's because we're keeping the costs where we are so that we can continue broadcasting, providing we get the little bit of support that we're asking for. Now, for those of you that have given, and there have been 737 distinct donations already in this May drive, 2 weeks, and I guess this is the 4th day, so we're 18 days into this. And that 737 donations pile up to a whopping $111,655. That's really terrific. That's a lot of money. And I thank everybody that's donating. This drive, when things seem so strange, so much around us that we don't understand. You have to decipher lies from truth from the people that are supposed to be leading us and that we trust. This station provides that platform for conversation. Come on. Support free speech. Support community radio, the oldest FM station in Houston. Please support it. Your call, 713-526-5738, or click at the donate button. $120 pledge gets you the 32-ounce stainless steel tumbler from KPFT emblazoned with our logo. As the summer months come, you'll appreciate having a cold drink kept cold in that mug. And it'll say KPFT, and people will know what you support. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. That mug, $10 a month. Come on now. Egberto, back to you. We're looking for pledge number 1 this morning.
Absolutely so, folks. We are still at zero. Texas Blue Bonnet says, I remember so many young men who died in Vietnam who went to high school with me. I also remember those WJOs came home safe, but then died from alcoholism, drug, several in-car wrecks. We revere those who've gone and protected our country, folks. Eric Hayes is in the house. Thank you so kindly for being here. He says, please remember today in memory of all those who have fallen protecting our freedoms. And Texas Blue Bonnet says, I, for one, can't imagine anybody listening to KPFT often or every day and not donating at least once a year. Thank you for those thoughts. And let's give some passion to Texas Blue Bonnet's suggestion. Please support the program best that you can. 713-526-5738. I'm going to give Harry a couple of minutes before I go to the video. Brother Harry, sorry for keeping you waiting that long. Believe it or not, every time I kept on calling you something else, I felt I gotta say, but come on in, my dear brother.
Good morning, Roberto, and that's okay. What you have to say always is important. Good morning to Sandy. Good morning to the two Hinoses, Jack and Howard. Love Jack's wisdom, and happy Memorial Day. And let's remember all those who sacrificed for this country. As I told you about my dad, he was a captain in the Air Force and a radar man. But I want to talk about 2 points. You were talking about unions, and then I wanted to finish up my some comments that were made Friday. We were talking about general assistance with some dollars. Anyway, with unions, on the attitude with Arnie Arson, you've been talking about this the last few weeks, and you haven't talked about this lately, Berta, but I know you've been keeping up with it. In Alabama, Mercedes-Benz is intimidating those workers to not form unions, and 56%, Arnie has been going over this the last few weeks on her attitude with Arnie, voting against not wanting to form unions, and that is wrong. The unions are your friend, and then the corporations want to pay you less. And when I heard Arnie's guests on there today, Bill Curry and Stephen Prepare, they mentioned people working harder for less, and then they price gouge you, as you mentioned on this show a lot about corporate greed and how they gouge people, and you're at the mercy of the pricing power of the consumers, at the mercy of that, and they have to pay those outrageous prices. But now let me finish up on Friday. I liked what Tag had to say. I liked what your caller Greg had to say, and Lisa, who called and said that she qualified for SNAP supplemental nutritional assistance program.
Right, we get it.
That's exactly who Arnie Arneson was talking about. People like that who apply for that, and because everybody can't pay everything out of pocket, and that's what she was talking about when she criticized Bill Clinton of trying to reform the welfare bill, and that's why she ran for president in 1996, because she strongly disagreed with that.
Jack,
And then,
hear me, Jack. I'm sorry, Harry. Let me interrupt you a second here, okay? Because the second point you're making is a point about SNAP and welfare, etc. I want people who are on federal assistance to stop feeling the need that they have to convince others that they are deserving. And I'm saying this directly to you as my brother, as my friend. I don't care what you hear people call in here and say about these issues. You don't have anything to defend, period. So let's not even waste time on that. This economic system, the vast majority of Americans are productive, and they're simply not paid for their productivity over the years. Henceforth, and we have a lousy safety net. We need to have a much better safety net. I don't want anybody that's on public assistance for reasons of a deplorable economic system believing that they have to somehow justify these kinds of needs. Okay, so let's cut that and move on. Go ahead, Jack. Finish up. I can't hear you, Jack.
Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Harry, not Jack.
Oh,
I mean, Harry. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll finish that off this point. When I was reading that farm bill and it talked about the SNAP, they were talking about the food inflation and whether or not they can continue to fund SNAP for nutritional food, because nutritional food tends to be more expensive than the junk food. And I was reading about De La Cruz and some of the others. They're voting on it, and they don't want people to go hungry in this state. And so, kudos to them. And I just hope that they're going to be able to continue to fund that, because there are people, even when they do work, they don't make enough. In some of the jobs that people work, they need general assistance, and so they need SNAP to continue to be
Jack,
funded.
Harry, I keep calling you Jack, Harry. Sorry. Okay, Harry, I need to cut you right now and just say one thing. That is why folks need to support KPFT. Really,
That's right.
because there's so much misinformation out there, one, about the needy, and two, about your own job, that you are getting paid undeservedly low, even as you think, I'm getting good enough. So let's continue to support, or let's support KPFT by calling 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Folks, we don't have any supporters yet. No supporters of the program today as yet. I ask kindly, please change that now. I have a 6-minute video that I need to play, and then I'll come back. This video should kind of illustrate as well why KPFT is so important, because the mainstream media doesn't have the wherewithal to do things right. Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome to Politics Done Right. Here we go. The mainstream media, whether on the left or the right, and I don't think any of them are on the left, CNN and MSNBC at best can be considered maybe center or somewhat right of center. But what's interesting is they always correct or try to give context whenever Democrats or progressives say something that's on the border, or something that has that could be given more context. They generally do it to not leave the space open. But with Republicans, they give them a pass in stating things. They generally don't correct them as they should, etc. Dana Bash in the past, I've seen her correct Republicans, not as much as she does Democrats. But this one here with Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina, I think is one of the worst interviews given, because not only did she allow him to misinform in MAGA manner, but she also gave him a long platform, free media, to put out lies, misinformation, etc., both about what Jewish students are going through on college campuses, and specifically about President Biden's mental state. She allowed it, and in fact, at one point, justified the statement. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
The reality is that, just using this case as an example, it's not two tiers if you have the Justice Department, which is the Justice Department, as Joe Biden is currently president, also going in to get classified documents into his house. And what I really am asking you about is the language being used, which is misleading. People like Steve Bannon called this an assassination attempt. Doesn't that kind of language concern you?
Well, I will simply say that watching the treatment of Joe Biden by the justice system, when they have found him unable to stand before a jury of his peers because he's too old, frankly, and his memory is shot. That is not the kind of simple, fair justice system that Americans expect. So it is very difficult to see this justice system currently playing out where it is fair to both Donald Trump and Republicans, as we've seen the kid gloves and the insulation around Joe Biden and his family. We all want fairness without any question, especially when Lady Justice should wear a blindfold, but we don't see that playing out, Dana.
Yeah, you're referring to Robert Hur and his report. That was one reason why they didn't prosecute. There were other reasons why they said they didn't prosecute Joe Biden.
A big one, though.
Well, okay. And I just want to, one last time, what I'm asking you about is rhetoric that could end up dangerous. And you keep answering about Joe Biden. So is there anything you want to talk about with regard to that rhetoric?
Well, the rhetoric that really concerns me is not coming out of emails. They're coming on college campuses when we're seeing the actual physical violence against our Jewish students playing out. What we're seeing is anti-Semitism spreading. We're seeing the spreading of hate. We're not having to figure out what's going to happen. We're actually seeing violence on college campuses. And yet the Democrat Party sits there, hands folded, letting it play out. We have to stand in the gap for those Jewish students. So I am very concerned about actual violence that we're seeing play out on our college campuses. Every single college president should hear me clearly. Your federal funding, it is a privilege, not a right. What is a right is for Jewish students to go to class safely, to study in libraries in peace. That's not a hyperbolic situation. That is actual facts on the ground on college campuses. So while rhetoric can be tamped down some, there is one place where we're seeing it manifest physically, violently, and it is disgusting.
I want to turn to
one of the important aspects of the media is to bring information in, be a arbiter of that information for the public whom you serve, and make sure that those who are providing that information do not mislead the audience. In this particular interview, Dana Bash completely failed at it because Tim Scott used her platform to completely spew lies. If you wonder why polls are so close today, which shouldn't be, given that in the case of Joe Biden, he's running against a lying, rapist, sadistic, and you can name all the adjectives that describe Donald Trump. This election shouldn't be close. But because we give, and the media specifically gives Donald Trump plausibility, because they give him the ability to normalize evil, normalize decadence, normalize all which is bad. We get close elections, not because Americans are bad people, but because they are severely ill-informed, misinformed, and disinformed. And again, we have to be clear about this. Dana Bash didn't do anything that a vast majority of hosts do. They don't confront bullies, information bullies, and they allow their platforms to be taken over. And what they do is dangerous. It is dangerous. We have changed the trajectory of the world in a very negative manner because of the poor job of the media and the election of Donald Trump. Let's look at the climate summit. Let's look at all these things that, because he is in power, or he was in power, materially change the direction of the earth. Why is it that most Americans will admit, I am doing fairly well? I hate going to see that I'm paying more for eggs than I paid 3 years ago or 2 years ago. I hate that. But I love that my salary has increased more so than the price of eggs, or I would love that my salaries, my wage increase covers more than the increase in things, in most things, not rent and insurance. That's for another subject where the corporatocracy is eating our clocks again. But again, and by the way, none of those things are the fault of the president. But when you look at the economy in the aggregate, wow, it is better than any other industrialized nation. Our interest rates, all of these things are better. And people's personal economies, kind of better. The failures of our personal economies for all of us has nothing to do with the trajectory of the economy, but with us having a flawed economic system. In other words, if you compare Reagan, Obama, Clinton, Biden, all these guys, the economy is working the way a capitalist economy works. And under the Democratic particular presidents, and don't take my word for it, folks, I ask you, everything that I say, fact check it. I want you to gain trust in me, but not blind trust. Fact checked every statement that I make. Now, here's a profound one. Every administration, if you stack all Democratic administrations, stack all Republican administrations, Democratic administration, the economic system performs a lot better in the aggregate under every single Democratic president than it does under the Republican one. That is a statement of fact that is quantifiable. And there's a reason why. I'm not going to go into reasons because we have to do some more pitching. But there are fiscal reasons why Democratic presidents perform better than Republican presidents. And that has to do a lot with the ideology of finances, okay, and taxes, etc. It's a reason why. But this is not even up for debate. I don't care if you're a conservative, liberal, whatever. Under Democratic presidents, we have a substantially larger GDP than under Republican presidents. And that's not debatable. You know, somebody can't call in here and tell me, well, Biden, but no. That's not debatable at all. The numbers are there for all to see. And when Eric says Bidenomics is a failure, no, your understanding of the economy, my dear brother, love you, but that is what has failed you. And the inability or the wishful desire not to accept a fact. Okay? I'm going to pause for a minute and ask you guys to call 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Folks, I'm at a 0. It's Memorial Day. It's a day where we honor those who have fallen for us. And it should be a day that we honor making sure that they have fallen for something worth falling for, a country that will be moving and getting better. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Or go to kpft.org, hit the donate button, scroll down to Politics Done Right, and do the program. Let's run to Sandy, and then we'll get to Johnny.
Hey, Berto. Well, you're right. So far, we're at a goose egg for Monday morning for Memorial Day. And as we think of those that have fallen, we can think about all those that have protected us and made it possible for us to live in this country free. We can also think about all those that have come through KPFT. Most recently, we lost Clay Brazier. We did Elevator Prozac. But we've had a whole parade of people that have given up so much time, so much energy, so much creativity to do radio at KPFT and provide a smile for you on your face, little knowledge for your head, maybe a tune that you can't get out of your head, something you never heard before. Providing this soundtrack for your life as you go through it. Today, folks, let's remember Mr. V, Larry Winters, all the people that have come through, Clay, all the people that have come through, DJ Chicken George that used to practice the art of solar grooves, recently passed away. Somebody else that offered a spark of creativity. All together we can do this. Individually we cannot. Many, many people have stepped up already. We're at a zero this morning. Let's get off the schneid. Let's get that first pledge in, get the pump primed, get KPFT funded so that we can travel down the road in the hot months to come, June and July. We won't be asking you for money then. Our next drive isn't scheduled for August, and if enough of you step up, that goal will be smaller in August. But right now, we're focused on what we got in front of us, which is $38,345 to reach our overall goal. It starts with you right now. Please go to the phone, be the first to pledge on this Monday morning. You dial 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. Put down $100, get a Politics Done Right t-shirt. Come on, whatever thank you take, it's just that. It's a big thank you from all of us and all of Houston so that we can continue with KPFT just as we've been for 54 plus years. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. Take that step. Egberto, back to you.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Hey, folks, we have a new contributor, a new member of KPFT right now. I want to thank Dawn Miller. Thank you so kindly for being the first contributor of today. We thank you so kindly. 2 coffees a month, same that I do here, 2 coffees a month. Thank you, my dear Dawn Miller. We cannot do this without you. And when I tell you, we revere every single one of you that take that effort to make that call at 713-526-5738 extension 1, or to go to kpft.org and hit the donate button, select Politics Done Right, and donate whatever you can. You are revered. I want to add one other thing. There is Coffee with Egberto, just to kind of try to raise some money for the station. You get $250. I'll drive any part of the Houston metropolitan area and sit down and drink some coffee and talk with you at any coffee shop of your desire, just to shoot the bull or whatever. And remember, Neil Aquino said he'll come along with me, and we'll just sit down and have a chat. 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org, hit that donate button, scroll down to Politics Done Right, and go ahead and donate whatever you can. Personally, I'm a $10 a month donor, even as I do the show as a volunteer. Sandy and Howard and Jack are all great donors as they volunteer. Folks, this is how we make a difference. Let's jump to Johnny, and then we'll get right back. Johnny, my dear brother, Johnny is the mayor of Politics Done Right. Come on, Johnny.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, sir.
I would like to also thank the new contributor because his or her money is green, just like my money, just like our friend on the right who's contentious, but his money is green also. I thank all of them. And why is that? because the corporate industrial oligarchy, they know our money is green, and they want our money. And the only way they get our money from us is if they keep us fighting with each other. So let's remember that, and that's why we need media, a left-wing, independent, non-commercial media that points these things out and reminds us what's really going on. For example, do you remember back in the day when Donald Trump was when he first weaseled his way into the White House, his so-called press secretary, what was the very first thing that he had to say about? The aerial photography of the inauguration crowd sizes. He compared that to Obama's. And the gaslighting was so obvious. So let's fast forward to the situation with these students protesting. You know, it's weird, and I know I can't be the only one who noticed this, but how come that so-called Jewish American student who is complaining on his cell phone for these protesters who are blocking him, how is it that he never panned his camera around? There were no long shots, only the tight shot. Why? Because he knew he was lying. So not only can numbers be manipulated by Republicans, so can imagery. They say a picture shows 1,000 words. Yeah, but gaslighting, when you're wanting to gaslight, guess what? The people receiving the message, they have to be smart enough to discern reality. It's called nuanced thinking. And when you destroy education and you monopolize the media in Manhattan, guess what? It leaves it up to KPFT to pick up the slack.
Brother, appreciate that. Appreciate that. Anything else that you want to say real quickly before I move on, my dear brother?
No. All I will say is, remember, numbers don't lie. Republicans do. I mean, politicians.
Thank you, my brother.
They not only manipulate numbers, they manipulate imagery. Just keep that in mind as we go throughout our day. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. Look, I have a program that I did with Norman Solomon and his brother Abba Solomon, and I did it in two parts. One that talks about the formation of Israel and Zionism, etc. It's very informative, as well as Norman Solomon discussing about the current state. And I think it's going to be well received because it is just about talking about the issues and maybe what needs to be done. And I'll play that after the fund drive is over. I brought that up because of what Brother Johnny had to say there. Let me tell you, all these protests in school, in these universities looking for a ceasefire. I want to let you know that among those students are a whole bunch of Jewish students. Many of the Jewish millennials that I hang with, all right, they have they share the exact same. Look, I'm very careful. I talk to my baby boomer Jewish folks, my Gen X Jewish folks, my millennial Jewish folks, and the Gen Zs. The Gen Zs are off the wall. These guys, you don't mess with Gen Zs. They're going to take over this country, and I'm going to be happy for it. But everybody has seen the light on the issue. Or most of these folks have seen the light. I want to make one correction to my brother Johnny, and that, Johnny, is the following. It's not only Republicans when it comes to the issue about Netanyahu, etc. It is also quite a large percentage of the Democratic establishment, not Democrats, but the Democratic establishment. So let's be frank and point these truths out. Welcome aboard, Johnny K. Johnny K says Dana Batch needs a timeout. Bless her heart. John Hill Jr. says lock up Donald and all get involved. The People's Radio. Thank you so kindly, brother John Hill Jr. Great to have you here. He is from WBAI.org, I think is what it says here. The more you learn, 99.5 FM New York. Support our station, WBAI in New York, of course. We're all a part of this big Pacifica family. Stations all over the country. Folks, give us a call at 713-526-5738. We only have one person that has called in and made a contribution thus far. please, 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 we need your contribution. Guys, we are at 59. Do we go on? Brother Howard, you direct and let me know what I need to do.
Oh, we're going to go right on to 7:20 this morning on KPFT Houston. There is our legal ID, so we're now legal for another hour.
Thank you so kindly. Sandy, anything you want to say before I move on, my brother? Okay, let's see if Sandy maybe.
Only we need more than Dawn. Come on now. Dawn was the first. We have a $300 goal on this program, even on Memorial Day, as we've had every day this drive. And for the most part, listeners of this program have fulfilled that call. Dawn, you got us a third of the way there, a little more. We appreciate that. Maybe a couple of more of you could pick up a Politics Done Right t-shirt and finish this up. $5 a month, $10 a month on a sustaining basis. Really, that's what we're looking for. When we get a chorus of people doing that, it's a mighty, mighty roar. Already, this drive, we started with nearly $21,000. Those were sustaining dollars. Very powerful thing when enough of us get together and subscribe as you do to Hulu or Netflix or whatever else it is you pay monthly to keep yourself entertained or informed. Think of KPFT as something that's really in need of your subscription dollars, your sustaining dollars. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. And on this Memorial Day, if you'd like to make your message known to the world, carve it in a brick, a 4x8 brick or an 8x8 brick, $25 a month sustainer or $50 a month sustainer, and join all the other people that have done that. Front yard looks pretty good with those bricks, and we're about to install a whole bunch more. Add your name, your brick to that. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. Thank you, Dawn, and I'm hoping to thank a few more folks. Hey, Egberto, why don't you
Thank
vote?
you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for that, Sandy. Hey, folks, let me tell you something. There at KPFT, there is the Walk of Fame. And the Walk of Fame says the following. You give us $25 a month and a way to say thank you permanently is that block, a 4x8 block for $25. Thank you. That puts whatever insignia you want out there, or a $50 a month brick, and it has your insignia from an 8x8 brick. You can memorialize yourself on the Walk of Fame, supporting the station, what we do. And as we mentioned before, how important. We got another new person. Let me see if I can say the name. I did the monthly donation to Beat Alberto monthly gift, and my brother died. First of all, thank you for the sacrifice. I hate saying thank you for the sacrifice, but we reward, or rather, we revere the sacrifice of your brother for this country, Luis Burciaga. Luis Burciaga, thank you so kindly for being a new supporter of KPFT, and he did more than a couple of coffees a month. I appreciate that so kindly. We cannot do this without y'all. Imagine if we could get 10 more of these, like in the next 15, 20. And there are enough people that are listening right now that 10 folks could call in right now or go to kpft.org and donate, pull down and say you're supporting Politics Done Right, and give whatever you can. Either $5 a month, $10 a month, $15 a month, the brick for $25 a month, the thank you 8x8 brick for $50 a month, or if you want to give a one time, just whatever you can, the Politics Done Right t-shirt, $100, a one time $100, or you can have coffee with Egberto, and I'm gonna bring Neil Aquino, the founder of the Houston Democracy Project, with me. That's a $250 contribution. I'll drive whatever part on my gas, whatever part of Harris County to meet you, to have a cup of coffee, sit down and talk. And who knows, maybe what we sit down and talk, we'll put it on air as well. In fact, if we may even do, if with your permission, while we meet in person, a quick interview that we throw on to our on air and put it on TikToks and put it on Facebook, put it on Instagram, all that to kind of just look. Let me tell you, folks, I am a crowdsourcing kind of guy. I believe in the collective. I believe in us all. I believe we work together for a better cause. People are like, why the hell do you give people on the right so much airtime? So you know why? Because they're my brothers and sisters too. And any day I stop connecting with everybody and I start factionalizing, I give credence to everybody who believe in some sort of segregation. I give segregation wasn't a natural thing uh, when societies form, right? It's a natural thing of fear because animals segregate and that sort of stuff because of fear. But as you build society, there's one thing that happens to the brain, and it gains intelligence, and the intelligence points out that working together means there are no fear among folks, and you can do things together, and in doing so, you actually form society. Now, the corporate state realized the danger in that. I mean, and it started one long time ago. Rebellion, all the rebellions we've had when people got together for a better good was always broken up. The purposeful a promotion of hate among people, all that kind of stuff is what is the only way our current economic system can survive. It cannot survive if we live in harmony. It can't. And we'll take that onto a program when I'm done pitching in this pitch drive. We'll have a program on that. This economic system depends on dissension to survive. Because in dissensions, unfairness can go unmitigated. We'll talk about that another time. That's why I believe in us putting everybody in the same domain and making sure that we are going to sit in front of each other and rap. We're going to sit in front of each other and talk. I'm doing some interviews today, including one with my beautiful sister who is on the conservative side. I'm very, very much to the left. She's very, very much to the right. And I convinced her, she's visited me from California. Love my sister over here. And I begged her, I said, I just want people to see that people from different side of the spectrum can come and have a great chat and sit down and talk, love each other because I love her to death, and vice versa. And she'll do anything for me, and I'll do anything for her. But when we get into politics, we kind of like But man, and that's how it should be. That's what they fear, right? And that's what we do. 713-526-5738, extension 1. I want to thank with a big heart Luis Burciaga and Don Miller, two of our donors so far. Can you be the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th? Come on, give me a call. 713-526-5738, extensión número 1, extension number 1. Llámame, por favor. Vamos a hacer esta cosa, hombre. Queremos ganar por lo menos $1,000 esta hora. At least, come on, let's do it, man. 713-526-5738, extension 1, or go to kpft.org, hit that contribute, that donate button, and then select from the scroll down box, Politics Done Right. Give whatever you can, whether it's one time or many times. I mean, many times meaning as a sustainer, not like, you know what I mean, many times. $5 a month, $10 a month. I am a $10 a month contributor. Look, many of you are doing this already with people who don't give a damn about you. Your cable company. You're doing this for a lot of entertainment domains. Your cable company, Netflix, Hulu, all these things. Many of us are given a lot of money for a one-way deal. We're saying, can you do $5 for us and you have a platform, you can call in and say, hey, I need you to do this. You can write in to KPFT at Politics Done Right and say, Egberto, yo quiero que tú hagas eso. I need you to do this. We need to talk about this. Do you know how many programs that we have here, topics that we have here that were generated by you? Do you know how many topics you've wrote into me about and said you need to cover this? Sometimes stuff that I hadn't even known about. And you said, you need to cover this. And I responded, whoa, I didn't know that. Thank you. Researched it, and then we did. Where do you have that interaction, brothers and sisters? Where? KPFT 713 526 5738 extension 1. Or go to kpft.org, hit that donate button, scroll down to Politics Done Right, and give whatever you can, sustain whatever you can. Folks, this is serious stuff, and you should be a part of it. This morning, I'm so ecstatic that we have 2 new contributors. And I want to speak to Texas Blue Bonnet on the chat, who said, where she said, I, for one, cannot imagine anybody listening to KPFT often or every day and not donating at least once a year. And 2 people already heeded your call. Well, I assume they heeded your call, Texas Blue Bonnet. So, folks, if you've never given, do you like what we do? I know sometimes it's a hassle to call in. If you call in, it's 1 or 2 minutes. If you chime in over the internet by going to kpft.org and hitting that donate button, it's quick. It's really quick. And we are frugal with your money. Like I said, I volunteer. Our general manager volunteers. Sandy volunteers. Jack volunteers. Howard is our only paid employee. Howard keep the whole damn engineering infrastructure, the network, the line, that the signals that get you done, and he's probably underpaid by 100%. Well, that's mathematically incorrect, but you know what I'm saying.
Well,
okay,
we'll say 50%. 50% of it's volunteer.
There you go.
Paid. I'm the only full-time paid employee. We do have others that are paid, but they're not paid that much. And when the day ends here in this building, when I leave this building, the job doesn't stop. I work from home, and sometimes up until 10 o'clock at night. So it takes up my entire life. Not that I had one before, but it's, it does take up my entire life. I mean, Sandy calls me, oh, we're off the air. Or what's this? I'm running down programs. So yeah, it's a big job. And am I paid for it? Yes, I am. Am I underpaid? Well, probably. But do I worry about being underpaid? No, because it's a good cause to do. It's the right thing to do. And the right thing to do is donate to KPFT 713-526-5738. It's the right thing to do. Don't show up with a spork. Show up with some bread.
Absolutely. So, folks, I just want to amplify what what Howard said. Yes, he's the only full-time employee. The part-time stuff are board operators and that kind of stuff that has to come in, etc. But every single host you're listening to, this is volunteer, baby. This all the things that we are coming to you, the people that are spinning those records, the people that are giving these talk shows, etc. Volunteer. And by the way, not only volunteering, but also contributors to the station. This is like one big family, and we're a family, a ever expanding family. And we got 2 new members to this family over the last 30 minutes. And I'm asking you to become that as well. To call 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org, hit that donate button, scroll down to Politics Done Right, and select your choice. Let me run to Sandy. Sandy, ¿cómo estás, mi amigo favorito?
Hey, it's good to see two people step up, two more of you doing the same thing, and we will be at our goal. 713-526-5738. Come on, Memorial Day, holiday weekend, long weekend, start of summer, unofficially. Just the same. Hey, we got a whole summer to look forward to with KPFT, and we'll continue our programming. We're going to continue on. But it will be a lot easier if we have the money in the bank to pay the bills so that when the power company calls, oh yeah, I can't find my checkbook, but we're looking. Yeah, okay, look, I've got other things to do. Can't write that check right now. I don't want to be dodging bill collectors. I want KPFT to pay all of its bills, hold its head up high. The listeners of the station supporting what is now a very minimal budget, incredibly minimal budget, a third of what it once was, one third. At one time, we had 17 relatively well paid employees running around that building many years ago. It's a far cry from where we are now. And I'll tell you, it's not easy running that station. Howard's right. I'll call him at 10:30. Hey, we're off the air. You don't have to go run over to the transmitter and reset a piece of equipment or find out what piece of software that we use is tangled up and untangle it. And he does. He does it quickly for all of us. Thank you, Howard, for that. But it's a stretch with the people that we have and the hours they put in just to keep this thing off the ground. We need a few of you dedicated maniacs to get out your wallets, your EFT permissions, and join the Sustainer program. Come on, $5, $10 a month, $5 a month. You're not going to miss. I went into my local coffee buck place the other day, and I asked for just a medium. I think that's a tall. I can never remember.
Yeah.
There,
Grande.
grande, black coffee, no caramel, no whipped cream, no cherry on top, no sugar, just a black coffee. And they gave me the coffee and they said it was $4 and change, and I threw the rest of the coins in the tip jar. $5 for one cup of coffee. $5 for KPFT all month long. Put the two of them side by side and let's talk about value. What are you going to do with $5? Give it to us. Please. Help pay the power bill. Help pay the ASCAP BMI rights. Help pay the streaming rights. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. Help pay for our one and full-time underpaid. You said a factor of 2. Howard, you're wrong. It's more like a factor of 3 or 4 according to the market around Houston.
Okay.
No lie, right? No lie. And as far as an interim general manager or general manager of a radio station in Houston, man, even in the Pacific universe, it's 100,000 with benefits and all that. And that's underpaid. And that's not being charged to the listeners either. So honor these commitments here on Memorial Day. And remember all the voices you've heard all these years on KPFT that have informed you, that have played you that song that you can't get out of your head, that have inspired that thought, that led to dialogue with somebody, where you made a new friend and created your own little patch of peace in Houston by coming to an understanding with someone. Think about all those things. Then make your donation. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. And oh, by the way, Luis, Dawn, both sustainers, your pledge is going to be matched $58 more both times. 50 from an anonymous, very generous donor, and $8 from members of the local station board, 1 volunteer, and yours truly. $58 on top of those $60 pledges if you're doing $5 a month. Luis and Dawn did a little bit more, and we are so grateful. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. Egberto, get the last word, and we'll roll into democracy now.
All right, folks, we are at the end of the program right now. So, folks, please, one more time 713-526-5738, extension number 1. To donate by phone, to donate on the internet is kpft.org. Hit the donate button, scroll down to Politics Done Right, and give whatever you can. Please consider becoming a sustainer. $5 a month or $10 a month. One of those things, $25 a month for a 4x8 brick. 8x8 brick is $50 a month. Folks, I got to get out of here. Go to politicsandright.com/newsletter for the rest of the show. We have a lot more information on the show. My name is Egberto Willis. I want to thank everybody. Love all of you. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Luis. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We now join Democracy Now! In Progress on KPFT Houston.
The Life of Abed Salama, Anatomy of a Jerusalem Tragedy. The book looks at the devastating reality for Palestinians.
Okay, Jack is going to take over.
Through the lens of a Palestinian father. Abed Salama lives in Anata, a segregated Palestinian neighborhood on the outskirts of Jerusalem that's surrounded on 3 sides by the 26-foot-high Israeli separation wall. Many refer to it as the apartheid wall. In February of 2012, tragedy struck Abed's family. His 5-year-old son, Milad, died in a fiery during a school field trip to a theme park. Abed's quest to find out what happened to his son was hindered because he was a Palestinian living on the wrong side of the separation wall. He held the wrong ID to pass Israeli military checkpoints and didn't have the right papers to enter the city of Jerusalem. Nathan Thrall, who lives in Jerusalem, wrote about this tragedy in a remarkable 2021 essay for the New York Review of Books. Juan Gonzalez and I spoke to Abed Salama and Nathan Thrall and aired the interview on October 5th. That was 2 days before Hamas's October 7th attack on southern Israel and the start of Israel's assault on Gaza. Nathan began by discussing why he wrote about Abed Salama and the tragedy of his family.
You know, this event is every parent's worst nightmare and an awful, awful tragedy under any